Hello, Maupert. We are meeting after the InfraSEC forum, where you gave the presentation, very interesting presentation, and I'd like to talk with you about it a bit more.
Yeah, thank you, Lucas. Great to have you here. Please ask me your questions.
Of course, thank you. The subject of your presentations at the conference was modernization and OT cybersecurity are yin and yang.
Correct.
Does it mean that modernization initiatives weaken cybersecurity?
No, not necessarily, but they need to go hand in hand. Yin and yang is Chinese wisdom, and there needs always to be a balance between the black and the white part of it. And that's the same what you see with modernization and cybersecurity. If you use, let's say, a lot of data for modernization and you put all the ports open in your firewalls and whatever, then you will see that you will get problems from a cybersecurity perspective. And that's something that you do not want. On the other hand, you want modernization, so you cannot close everything from a cybersecurity perspective. So there needs to be a balance between modernization and cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm. So as I understand, Chinese philosophy aims to balance yin and yang. So what is your recipe for balancing modernization efforts and cybersecurity?
Yeah, what you should do as an organization is always start with your business and your IT, but also your risk department. So you need to get all the stakeholders together. Mm-hmm. And why do you need that? That's simply because of the fact that you need to know where the company is going. So you need to have the long-term vision. Based on a long-term vision and the opinions of all the stakeholders, you can make decisions for the next step, what you're going to do with your cybersecurity and modernization approach. Because it cannot be that only the risk department is going to push back and the business is going to want to move forward. So they need to give each other somewhere the handshake. So even here, you need to find a balance, something like yin and yang, even for your stakeholders. They need to find each other somewhere on the road.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so shaking hands sounds good and sounds that's like it's the best way to cooperate. But are there any unavoidable compromises that we have to live with?
Yeah, there are. Because what I was just mentioning, that you have so many stakeholders from a risk department, from a legal department, from the IT, from the OT. That also means that it's, let's say, not a straightforward path. So on the one hand, you want to have as less risks as possible. And on the other hand, you want to move as fast as you can to stay ahead of the competition as an organization. So what you will see in the end is that by finding the balance, you're slowing your cybersecurity measures and you're slowing also the modernization of your organization. But on the other hand, you will see that they go hand in hand and that you move on in a safe way. So you will modernize and you will be, let's say, resilient from a cybersecurity perspective, but it will not go as fast maybe as you wish. The risk department wants to move faster with cybersecurity, and the OT and the business want to move faster with modernization. But yeah, you need to do it. You need to do it together.
Mm-hmm, of course. The conference was about OT, especially OT cybersecurity. You mentioned the OT cybersecurity right now. What do you see when you think about the future of OT IT convergence? How will OT evolve?
Yeah, there are a few things happening on the market. First of all, we see what is happening in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine, for example. And then you think maybe first, what has that to do with OT? Now, what I see, because I'm also responsible for Eastern Europe, is that more and more companies will be connected to the internet, but will not go with everything to the cloud. So all the cloud and SaaS solutions, which you see happening right now, and in Western Europe, you see a lot of companies going to the cloud. In Eastern Europe, I see that a lot of companies take the decision, we will use the cloud, but not in a way that we did, let's say, what we were thinking about a few years ago. Mm-hmm. The other thing what you see happening is the Internet of Things. So all the devices that you have that are connected with the internet, or all the devices are connected. Now, that will be more and more, and you will see that in the end, in the upcoming years, that all the devices in the plant will be connected via IP.
Mhm.
Then we have regulations. From a regulations perspective, the NIS2, which is it's a new regulation from the European governance and directive, that will be implemented in the upcoming 2 years in all the laws from all the different countries here in Europe. So everyone in Europe needs to comply to these new regulations. So that will also mean that everyone has to take all the measures to comply with it, because if you don't comply, you get fined, and the fines are massive. So the regulations will also push it. And then we have the sustainability perspective. And the sustainability perspective will also push you to let's say, work on CO2 reduction, wastewater, energy consumption, and you need data for that. So you need to have, let's say, that connection with the IT and the OT. So in the end, it will more grow to each other, but there are also some side effects that you need to take into account before you take the next step.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you very much for this talk. It was very interesting. The NIS2 really is a game changer, I think. We're waiting for the update of regulations here in Poland. So I'm very curious how it will evolve in the nearest future, and how companies will find in this new let's say new order. So thank you very much for the talk, and I hope we'll meet at the next edition of InfraSEC Forum. Thank you very much.
For sure. Thank you, Lucas.